First question says that write the ratio 12:30 in its simplest form. So we know 12 and 30 both come in the 6 times table. 12 is 6 times 2 and 30 is 6 times 5. So if we cancel out the 6, what we're left with is 2:5. That's your answer. Then write on the number of lines of symmetry of a kite. So if we draw a kite roughly over here, we can clearly see that we only have one line of symmetry. A line of symmetry is that line which divides the shape into two equal parts. So one line. Then it says the stem leaf diagram shows the number of minutes taken by each of 18 students to complete a task. Find the range. So range is your difference between the maximum and minimum value. So maximum we can see is 39, which is this, and minimum is 12. So 39 minus 12, which equals to 27. That's your range. Then it says find the median. Median is your middle value. So if you look at the total number of values, there are 18 values in total. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. So we need to see where the ninth value comes. So ninth value is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is your ninth value. Now let's see how many values are before and after 24. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 values after 24 and 8 values before 24, which shows that 24 is not the middle value, because the middle value needs to be right in the middle of the data set. So that means our middle value is going to be between 24 and 28. Because now if you notice, we have 8 values before these two and 8 values after these two, which shows the middle of 24 and 28 is the median. So we do 24 plus 28 divided by 2, which gives us 26. So 26 minutes is the median value of this data set. Then say the student draws a pie chart to show the information in the stem and leaf diagram. Complete the table for the angles on the pie chart. So for this, we need to first identify how many values fall between 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, and 30 to 40. So for 10 to 20, we have 4 values. 20 to 30, we have 8 values. And 30 to 40, we have 6 values. So for the angle, we'll do 4 over 18 because there are total of 18 values. So 4 values out of 18 values are in this interval. And then we times this fraction by 360. So we know 18 times 2 is 36. So 360 would be 18 times 20. So then we do 4 times 20, which is 80 degrees. So that's the angle for the first interval. Then for the other one, we do 8 over 18 times 360. Once again, we know that 360 divided by 18 is going to be 20. So we do 8 times 20, which is 160. And lastly, 6 over 18 times 360, which is going to be 6 times 20. And that's 120 degrees. So these are our angles for the pie chart for each of these intervals. Question 4 says work out 3 over 7 times 14 over 15. So whenever we are multiplying fractions, it's ideal to simplify the fractions first because we're not allowed to use the calculator. So our goal is to make the calculation as easy as possible, which is what we did in the previous question as well. I simplified the fraction first instead of doing 4 times 360, 8 times 360, or 6 times 360. Simplify it first and then start solving. And remember, the simplification can only be done vertically or diagonally, not horizontally. Horizontally, you can only multiply. So now if you notice, we have 3 over 7 times 14 over 15. So we can see that vertically we cannot simplify it because 3 and 7 don't come in the same times table. And 14 and 15 also don't come in the same times table. But if you look at it diagonally, 3 and 15 do come in the same times table, and 7 and 14 also come in the same times table. 7 ones are 7, 7 twos are 14, 3 ones are 3, 3 fives are 15. So we're left with 2 over 5, which is our fraction in its simplest form. Then it says find the size of an interior angle of a regular decagon. So decagon is a shape which has 10 sides. So for this, you need to know the formula. So formula is going to be n minus 2 times 180 over n. So that's going to be 10 minus 2 times 180 divided by 10. Now we know 10 minus 2 is 8. So 8 times 180 over 10. 180 divided by 10 is 18. So now what we do is 18 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 ones are 8 plus 6, 14. 144 degrees is your size of each interior angle of this regular decagon. Question 6 says convert 5.7 liters into centimeter cube. 1 liter equals to 1000 centimeter cube. You need to be aware of your basic metric conversions, the conversion between kgs to grams, kilometers to meters, centimeters, millimeters, and for liters into centimeter cube as well. So if 1 liter equals to 1000 centimeter cube, 5.7 times 1000 would give us the value of 5.7 liters into centimeter cube. Now, whenever we are multiplying a decimal by 10, 100, or 1000, 10,000, or so on, if it's 1000, we move the decimal 1, 2, 3 places to the right side. The number of places your decimal is moving depends on how many zeros are there. So if we have 3 zeros, we move the decimal 3 places to the right side. If you were dividing it by 1000, you would move the decimal 3 places to the left side. So it's going to be 5700 centimeter cube. That is your final answer. Next question says that write this number in order starting with the smallest. So we have 3 over 20, 0.143, 1 over 6, and 16%. We have fractions, decimals, and percentage. So what we're supposed to do is, in order to figure out which one is the smallest and which one is the largest, we need to convert all of them in the same format. You can convert them into fractions, you can convert them all into decimals, or all of them into percentages. I would suggest converting them all into decimals because that would be easier to solve depending on our case. So 3. So to convert 3 over 20 into a decimal, what I will do is I'll convert the denominator into 100. We know 20 times 5 is 100. So if we're multiplying 20 by 5, we have to multiply 3 by 5 as well. Remember, if you're introducing something new in the numerator, the same thing needs to be done in the denominator as well. So if you're adding something, you're supposed to subtract it as well. If you're multiplying something, you're supposed to divide it as well. So this is going to be 15 over 100, which equals to 0.15 in decimals. Like I said in question 6, if we're dividing it by 100, 10,000, or whatever, you move the decimal to the left side. And if you're multiplying, you move it to the right side. Hence, 15 over 100 becomes 0.15. Also, every whole number has a decimal at its end. That is why we move this 2 places over here. So we got the 3 over 20 covered, that equals to 0.15. 0.142 is already in a decimal. 1 over 6. So for 1 over 6, we just divide 1 by 6. Now 1 is less than 6, so we know 1 doesn't come in the 6 times table. So you add a decimal above and add a 0 with 1. Now 10 is a number that's bigger than 6, but it still doesn't come in the 6 times table. However, we know 6 comes in the 6 times table, which is less than 10. So 6 ones are 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Add a 0 again over here. So now we're doing 40 divided by 6. Another thing, when you add the second 0, you can't add 2 decimals above. So you just keep on adding zeros, in the numbers below. You don't add more decimals above. We only add one decimal that is added in the initial step. So 40 divided by 6, so we know 40 doesn't come in the 6 times table, but 36 does. 6 times 6 is 36. 40 minus 36 is 4. Again 40. So we can see that it's going to be a recurring pattern. So 1 over 6 can be rewritten as 0.16 recurring. 16% once again is going to be 16 over 100, which is the same as 0.16. Now, if we compare these, we can see that the smallest over here is 0.143. Then we have 0.15, which is 3 over 20. Then we have 0.16, which is 16%. And lastly, 0.16 recurring, which is 1 over 6. If you're thinking that 0.16 recurring is the same as 0.16, that's wrong. Because 0.16 recurring is basically 6 being repeated. Over here, we just have 1 6. So when you have 6 being repeated, that's bigger than 0.16. And this can also be rounded to 0.17. That's why 1 over 6 is bigger than 16%. And that's how you calculate your questions where they're asking you to order like different fractions, decimals, or percentages. Question 8 says Jude has a fair 8-sided spinner numbered 1 to 8. Jude spins the spinner once. Find the probability that the spinner lands on a number greater than 6. So for a number greater than 6, we have 8 and 7. So if it's an 8-sided spinner, 2 out of 8 is the probability of us getting a number greater than 6. Then it says an even number or a multiple of 7. So for an even number or a multiple of 7, even number is 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we have a multiple of 7. So the probability of getting an even number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 over 8. Or means addition. So plus multiple of 7 is just 1. So 1 over 8. So that's going to be 5 over 8. Remember, in probability, if they use like, for example, and an even number and a multiple of 7. So and would mean multiply, or means add. So if it says or another thing, you add the two probabilities. If it says and another thing, you multiply the two probabilities. That is the basic key that we follow in probability. Then it says Jude spins the spinner 240 times. Work out the expected number of times the spinner lands on a number greater than 6. So we already know that the spinner landing on a number greater than 6 is 2 over 8. So we want the expected number. So for the expected number, you always multiply the probability with the number of times the action is being done. So the spinner is being spun 240 times. So 2 over 8 times 240. Now we know 8 times 3 is 24. So 8 times 30 is going to be 240. Then we do 2 times 30, which is 60. If you've noticed so far, when it comes to fractions, simplification is the key to making your calculation easier and saving time. We are not allowed to use the calculators anymore, so the best thing is to revise your times tables, simplify as much as possible, make your calculations simpler. Question 9 is using the ruler and pair of compasses only. Construct a rhombus with side length 6 centimeters and a diagonal of length 9.5 centimeters. One side has been drawn for you. So for this, I'm going to show you a demonstration as to how you can draw this, because they have given us the length of one side of the rhombus, which is 6 centimeters. So using that, I will show you how to construct the entire rhombus with the given information. Okay, so this is our line that's given the question already, and using this, we're going to construct a rhombus. So they told us that the rhombus has a length of 6 centimeters and the diagonal is 9.5 centimeters long. So we will take our compass and we will open this to 6 centimeters. Now using this compass, we're going to draw an arc over here, and then we're going to do the same steps from this point. So we will draw two arcs. Now the total of the diagonal is 9.5 centimeters long. So we will open our compass to 9.5 centimeters now. So let's unlock this. It's not letting me open to 9.5 centimeters. Okay, so when you will do it manually, obviously you would be able to open it to 9.5 centimeters. So what you would do is you would draw an arc that is 9.5 centimeters long. So now this arc over here should intersect with this. So let me make this arc bigger. This arc, sorry. This arc over here. This needs to intersect with this arc. So once again, my diagonal is incorrect because the compass does not open to 9.5, but you will open it to 9.5, and then your 9.5 arc will intersect with the 6 centimeter arc. So this is where your vertex is. So if I remove this over here, this will be your 1.5. Call this point A, call this point B, C. So if it's 6 centimeters, so using your ruler, we draw a 6 centimeter line. So let me, this is obviously not accurate because of the compass not opening to 9.5 centimeters. With this, and then you repeat the same steps over here, draw a horizontal line. Then again, we connect this from here. So this is going to be a rhombus. This line, this represents your diagonal over here. And these are your 6 centimeter rhombus line. So that's how you construct your rhombus. Then question 10 says the time that Rafiq works is divided into meetings, planning, and working on the computer. One day, Rafiq is in meetings for 3/4 of the time, then planning for 1/5 of the time, and working on the computer for the remaining 25 minutes of the time. Work out the total time that Rafiq works this day. So if he's taking 25 minutes of the time on working on a computer, so let's first use that to figure out how much time he's working altogether the entire day. So we know that 3/4 of the time is spent on meetings, 1/5 is spent on planning. So what fraction is spent on working on a computer? So to figure that out, what we will do is for the computer, we will do 1 minus 3/4 minus 1/5. So when we're adding or subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, we're supposed to make the denominators equal first. So we know 4 and 5 have the lowest common multiple of 20. So 20 is the denominator. So we multiply 1 by 20, 3 by 5, and 1 by 4. That's going to be 20 minus 15 minus 4. Minus 15 minus 4 is negative 19. And 20 minus 19 is going to be 1. So 1/20 is the fraction of the time that he spends on the computer. Now 25 minutes is what he spends exactly on the computer. So that means 25 is equal to 1/20 times the total time. I'm going to say that the total time is variable x. So which means 25 equals to 1 over 20 times x. So cross multiply because we're trying to find the value of x. So 25 times 20. Now 25 times 2 is 50. So 50 times 10 is 500. So 500 minutes is x. Going back to the question, they want the time in hours and minutes. So let's split the 500 minutes into hours and minutes. We know 1 hour has 60 minutes. And 8 hours will have 480 minutes. So if we remove 480 from 500, we're left with 20 minutes. So our final time is going to be 8 hours and 20 minutes. That is your answer. Question 11 says expand 2x brackets 3x squared minus 8x. So whenever they talk about expanding brackets, you multiply the term outside the bracket with the terms inside the bracket. So 2x times 3x squared plus 2x times negative 8x. 2x times 3x squared is 6x cubed. 2x times negative 8x is going to be negative 16x squared. So that is your final answer. Part B says factorize. Now, expansion is the opposite of factorization. Now they're asking us to convert this expression in terms of brackets. So we first need to see whether there's a highest common factor between x squared and 19 squared. X and 19 don't come in the same times table, which means we cannot factorize it like that. Next, we need to see, does it follow difference of perfect squares? Difference of perfect square is a rule where two perfect squares are being subtracted. So looking at this, we can see that x is squared and 19 is also being squared. And both these squares are being subtracted, which means, yes, we can use difference of perfect squares. So according to difference of perfect squares, a square minus b square is the same as a minus b times a plus b. Hence, it's going to be x minus 19 times x plus 19. This is your factorized answer. Then it says work out 81 square minus 19 square. So same thing, 81 minus 19 times 81 plus 19. Now 81 minus 19 is going to give us 62 and 81 plus 19 is going to give us 100. So now 62 times 100 is 6200. That's your answer. Remember, if you're multiplying any number by 100, 10,000, whatever the thing is, you add the number of zeros that exists in that. So for example, if you're multiplying 62 by 10, then you just add 1 0 with 62. So the answer would be 620. If you're multiplying 62 by 100, then the answer would be 6200. You just add 2 zeros with 62. Similarly, if you're multiplying 62 by 1000, you add 3 zeros with 62. So it's 62,000. So that's how you solve these calculations without using the calculator. Question 12 says the force of 196 newtons is applied to a square surface of side 4.9 centimeters. By writing each number correct to one significant figure, work out an estimate of the pressure applied to the square surface. So they've given us the formula for pressure, which is force over area. But they want us to round each of these values to one significant figure. So 196 correct to one significant figure is going to be 200. The 2 zeros do not count as significant figures. Only 2 is the significant figure, hence correct to one significant figure. 4.9 becomes 5. So it's going to be 5 times 5. Why 5 times 5? Because it's divided by the area, not the length. So you will not do 200 over 5. It's going to be 200 over 5 times 5. So that's 200 over 25. And we know that 200 divided by 5 is 40. 25 divided by 5 is 5. And 40 divided by 5 is 8. So 8 newtons per centimeter square is your pressure. For question 13, it says on the grid, draw the image of a triangle A after reflection the line y equals to x plus 2. So for the line y equals to x plus 2, we know y equals to x is a line that's passing through the origin. And whatever the value of y is the same as the value of x. So let me draw the y equals to x line first. That is going to be this. This is your y equals to x line. Now this y equals to x line has a 2 being added. So if something is being added to y, we move that many units up. So that means we move this line 2 units up. So this is your line now. Now A is being reflected in y equals to x plus 2. So if it's being reflected over here, that means this point will be this. Then this point is this. And lastly, this point is going to be 1, 2, 3 units. That's going to be over here. So we connect the dots and we can clearly see that this is our triangle. Remember, in reflections, the point that is originally given is going to be equidistant from the line of symmetry or the mirror line on the other side as well. So this is half unit from the line. So same half unit over here. Then this was 1.5. So you go over here half and 1. And then the third point was 3 units from the pink point. So it's going to be 3 units over here from the pink point because this is where the triangle would be made. The triangle wouldn't be made over here if we add the yellow point over here. So then we mark the yellow point, connect the dots, and we have our reflection the line y equals to x plus 2. Then it says draw the image of the triangle A after an enlargement by scale factor 3/2 with center 1, 0. Center 1, 0 is this. Scale of enlargement is 3/2. So each length is going to be enlarged by the scale factor of 3/2. So for this one, this is 2 units. So if we do 2 times 3/2, that's going to give us 3 units. This is 3. So we do 3 times 3/2, that's going to give us 9/2, which is 4.5. So center of enlargement now exists on the shape, which means the enlargement is going to be over here as well on the shape. So this length is becoming 3. So let's use a different color for this. 3 units from the center now. This length is becoming 4.5, so it's going to be over here. So now if we connect the shape, this is our enlargement of the triangle A using the scale factor 3/2. This point is shared commonly with both the shapes because the center of enlargement is on the shape. So that's why it's going to be on the enlarged shape as well. And for this point, it was increased by 1 unit. So 2 units became 3 now. And this one was increased by 1.5 units. So 3 units became 4.5 over here. So then we just connect the points and we have our enlargement. Then it says describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Triangle A onto triangle B is going to be, it's clearly a rotation. And it's a 90-degree rotation because we're going in this direction. Now we need to figure out the center of rotation. So if we pick this point and we pick this point, These are the two corresponding points, and we're going to use these to figure out what the center of rotation is. For the center of rotation, we have to figure out which point will show that the horizontal and vertical distance of these two blue points is swapped according to that point. So if we pick -1 and 1, let's say, so that's 2 units horizontally and 1 vertically. Whereas for this, it's 2 units horizontally and 3 vertically. The distances haven't been swapped, so that doesn't work. If we move it to -2 and 1, that's 3 horizontally, 1 vertically. And over here, that's 1 horizontally and 3 vertically. So if you notice over here, the distances have been swapped. So as I said before, when we're trying to figure out the center of rotation, or we're trying to figure out the image of the rotated thing, your horizontal and vertical distances swap when you're rotating 90 degrees. And over here, the 3 horizontal became the 3 vertical, and 1 vertical became 1 horizontal. So our center of rotation is -2 and 1. So now for the description, we'll just say 90-degree clockwise rotation about the center -2 and 1. That's your answer. Question 14 says write 0.38 recurring as a fraction. For 0.38 recurring as a fraction, first let's assume that x equals to 0.38 recurring. Now 0.38 recurring is basically 0.3888 and so on. 8 is being repeated, not 3. So next, I'm going to assume that if x equals to this, 10x would equal to 3.888 and so on. And 100x would be 38.888 and so on. So our goal is to figure out how to get rid of this decimal so that we have this recurring decimal as a fraction. So if you notice, if I subtract 100x and 10x, that will get rid of all of the 8s after decimal. So 100x minus 10x is basically 38.88 minus 3.88. I'm just going to write 2 8s because it's still the same 8 recurring. So 90x equals to 38 minus 3, which is 35. So x is going to be 35 over 90. Both come in the 5 times table. 7 5s are 35, so 7 over here. And for 90, it's going to be 18 because 18 times 5 is 90. So 7 over 18 is the simplest form of the fraction for the recurring decimal 0.38. Remember, you first put your decimal equal to x, then you multiply x with 10, 100, or 1000, depending on what the recurring decimal is. And you have to figure out a way that when you multiply the two and then you subtract the result, your numbers after the decimal have to get eliminated. So when we did 10x and 100x and I subtracted the 2, we were only left with the whole number, which is 35. All the 0.88s were gone. And then we just subtract the other 2 on the other side as well. If you're subtracting the decimals, you're subtracting the x's as well. So 100x minus 10x gave us 90x, and x equals to 35 over 90, which is 7 over 18. Then it says that Freya records how many minutes she takes to complete a crossword each day. On Tuesday, she takes 10% less time than on Monday. On Wednesday, she takes 50% less time than on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, she takes 9 minutes to complete the crossword. Find the number of minutes Freya takes to complete the crossword on Monday. So in this one, I'm going to assume that on Monday, she's taking X minutes to finish the crossword. Tuesday, she's taking 10% less time. So that means she's taking 0.9x. because 10% is basically 10 over 100, which is 0.1. 0.1x minus x is going to be 0.9x. Then on Wednesday, she's taking 50% less than on Tuesday. So 0.9x divided by 2, that's 0.5x. 50% less means half of the time. So they gave us the time for Wednesday, which is 9 minutes. So 9 equals to 0.5x basically. So we know 0.5 is basically 45 over 100. We're just rewriting the decimal as a fraction. So 9 times 100 over 45 equals to x. 9 ones are 5, 9 fives are 45. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So she takes 20 minutes to complete the puzzle on, she takes 20 minutes to complete the crossword on Monday. Then it says the vector PQ is 3, -1, and the vector QR is 1, 9. Work out the length of PR. So PR is going to be basically PQ plus QR. We're going from P to Q, then Q to R to get PR. So that's 3, -1, plus 1, 9. 3 plus 1 is 4. Add x to the x and y value to the y value. So that's going to give us 4 and 8. Now it says the length of vector PR, which means the magnitude of vector PR. So that's going to be 4 square plus 8 square being square rooted, which is 16 plus 64. And that is going to give us square root of 80. That's the length of PR. Since we're not allowed to use the calculus, you can leave it as it is. If you want to prime factorize, you can, but I don't think that's required. You just stick to root 80. That should be enough. Then it says the diagram shows a sector of a circle with radius 6 centimeters. The area of the sector is 15 pi centimeters squared. Work out the perimeter of the sector, giving you answer the form of a plus b pi, where a and b are integers. So they've given us the area, they've given us the radius. We need to find this angle. So using the area of a sector formula, I'm going to figure out the angle first. So 15 pi equals to theta over 360 times pi times r square, which is 6. So 15 pi equals to theta over 360 times pi times 36. Now we know 36 times 10 is going to give us 360. So this is 1, this is 10. 15 pi equals to theta over 10 times pi. Cross multiply 15 pi times 10 and then divided by pi to make theta the subject. Pi divided by pi is 1. 15 times 10 is 150. So 150 degrees is our angle. Now for the perimeter, we need the arc length and the radius is already given. So perimeter is going to be 150 over 360 times 2 pi r, which is 6, and then twice of radius, which is 2 times 6. Cancel out the zeros again. 6 ones are 6. 6 6 are 36. 2 ones are 2. This becomes 3. And 3 ones are 3. This becomes 5. If you notice, the entire thing is simplified now. This is why I'm saying instead of multiplying the numbers, simplify it. Make it simpler for yourself. So it's 5 pi plus 12. That's your perimeter, where A is 12 and B is 5. Then it says the sector is the cross section of a prism of length 10 centimeters. Work out giving your answer in terms of pi, the volume of the prism. So if you remember, volume is basically cross section area times the length. So cross section area is 15 pi times the length, which is 10. So that's going to be 150 pi. That's your volume. Then says the total surface area of the prism. So for the total surface area, we know that we have a sector as like the top and the bottom face, and then we have this curved part. So for this, what we'll do is we will add the top and the bottom part, so that's 15 pi times 2 because there are two faces at the top, one at the bottom. And now the curved part. So for the curved part, for the cylinder, if you notice, the curved part was 2 pi r h. Over here, we just have like a portion of it. It's not the entire thing. So what we will do is the perimeter, which is 12 plus 5 pi, we times it by the total length of the prism, which is 10. So 12 plus 5 pi times 10. Once again, if you remember the cylinder's total surface area is 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. Over here, we do have a thing similar to a cylinder, but it's not a complete cylinder. We have a sector at the top and bottom, and then we have a curved surface area in the middle. The top and bottom is 15 pi times 2, which is 2 pi r squared for this, like this corresponds to this. And over here, the 2 pi r h, we're multiplying the h is 10 and 2 pi r, which is the basically circumference of the, sector. And over here, for us, the circumference of the sector is 12 plus 5 pi, which is, your perimeter. 2 pi r is the perimeter of a circle, and 12 plus 5 pi is the perimeter of the sector for this prism. So we just multiply the total length of the prism with the perimeter of the sector. And then we add the results. So 30 pi plus 120 plus 50 pi. So that's 80 pi plus 120. That is your total surface area of this prism. So whenever you have a similar shape connected to the cylinder, see how the total surface area formula for cylinder is, and then see what fits in what part. 2 pi r square is the area for the top part and the bottom part. 2 pi r h is the curved surface area. 2 pi r is the perimeter, or like the circumference of the circle, which is a circular face at the top. And for us, it's a sector. So for the sector, our perimeter was 12 plus 5 pi. So we multiply that with the total length of the prism. Question 18 says, write x squared minus 8x plus 10 in the form of x minus a whole square minus b. So this is completing square form. So for completing square form, what we do is we complete this square. Our complete square is basically a minus b whole square, which is a square minus 2ab plus b square in the expanded form. And if it was x square plus 8x, it would be a plus b square, which is a square plus 2ab plus b square. You must be familiar with these formulas. So since it's x square minus 8x, we're going to stick to a minus b whole square. We have to convert x square minus 8x into this format first, and then from that to a minus b whole square format. So if we compare x square minus 8x with a square minus 2ab plus b square, x square is a square, which means a is x, and b is going to be 8x equals to 2ab. So 8x equals to 2xb. 8x divided by 2x is going to give us 4 as b. So now what we have is a square minus 8x plus 4 square, but also minus 4 square, and then plus 10 comes as it is. The reason why I'm doing minus 4 square as well is because we're introducing plus 4 square in this equation. It did not exist before. So if we're adding something new, we're supposed to subtract it as well. And I told you that in the previous questions, if you're multiplying something in the numerator, you multiply in the denominator as well, because you're supposed to multiply and divide it. You can't just randomly introduce something new without doing the opposite as well. So since we're adding 4 square, we're supposed to subtract 4 square as well. So now x square minus 8x plus 4 square is the complete square, which is this part. So this will turn into x minus 4 whole square. Now this minus 4 square plus 10 will be outside. So that's minus 16 plus 10. And that's x minus 4 whole square minus 6. So that is your answer in complete square form. I know it's 2 marks and it might seem like a lot of work for 2 marks, but I'm breaking it down into its very basics so that you understand what's happening. If you're someone who knows how to do completing square, then it's going to be just one step for you because you can easily break it down in your mind and just figure out what the format is going to be. So that's how you convert this into completing square form. Then it says sketch the graph of y equals to x squared minus 8x plus 10. On the sketch, label the coordinates of the turning point and the y-intercept. Then it says sketch the graph of y equals to x squared minus 8x plus 10. On the sketch, label the coordinates of the turning point and the y-intercept. Now this is where your previous question comes in handy. Now this is where your previous answer comes into use. So we know that y equals to x squared minus 8x plus 10 is the same as y equals to x minus 4 whole square minus 6. Now the completing square form is used to identify our turning point actually. So this is your x coordinate and this is your y coordinate of the turning point. So over here, the turning point is going to be 4, negative 6. It's not going to be negative 4 because the completing square form is actually y equals to x minus h whole square plus k. So in the bracket, it has to be minus. If it was x plus h, like, over here, if it's x plus 4, then you would write negative 4 in the coordinate. But if it's x minus 4 whole square, you would write it as positive 4, not negative. Whereas the case for y is opposite. If it's negative 6, you write the negative sign with it. If it's positive 6, you just write 6. So 4 negative 6 is going to be over positive 4 over here and negative. So that's going to be over here. Let's say this is your 4 negative 6. Now they're saying and the y-intercept as well. So for the y-intercept, you put x equals to 0. So y equals to 0 square minus 8 times 0 plus 10. So y equals to 10. So the next coordinate is 0, 10. So 10 is going to be somewhere over here. So now we just connect these. And this is your quadratic graph. I know it's a very rough, like ugly looking graph, but like the basic graph is going to be like this. It has to pass through the y-axis at y equals to 10. And over here, the turning point is going to be at 4, negative 6. If you've covered these points, you will get your mark. Then since the point P lies on the graph y equals to x squared minus 8x plus 10. The gradient of the graph at P is 6. Find the coordinates of P. So whenever we have a curve and they're talking about the gradient, we will always differentiate the curve to figure out the values. So we have y equals to x squared minus 8x plus 10. So first we differentiate this. So dy by dx would mean x squared becomes 2x, negative 8x becomes negative 8, and the 10 goes away. A polynomial is written as y equals to x to the power of n. So when you differentiate it, we bring the power down. So it becomes n times x to the power of n minus 1. You bring the original power down and then you subtract 1 from the power. So this is exactly what I did over here. I brought 2 down and then I did 2 minus 1, which is 1. X has a power of 1 over here, so 1 came down. So negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. And x to the power of 1 minus 1 is going to be x to the power of 0, where x to the power of 0 would equal to 1. Hence, negative 8 is written on its own. And for 10, there is no variable, so the derivative of a constant is always 0. So dy by dx is 2x minus 8. Now they've given us the gradient. So dy by dx equals to 6. So 6 equals to 2x minus 8. 6 plus 8 equals to 2x. 14 equals to 2x. Divide both sides by 2 and x is 7. They're asking us to find the coordinates of P, not just the x value of P, both x and y. So now we put this back into the curve. So at x equals to 7, y would be 7 squared minus 8 times 7 plus 10. So that's 49 minus 56 plus 10. 49 plus 10 is 59. 59 minus 56 is going to be 3. So when x is 7, y is 3. These are your coordinates of P. Then it says simplify root 75 minus root 3. So when you're simplifying surds, we're supposed to prime factorize the number in the root, bring it to its simplest form, and then see if you're able to solve it or not. 75 basically comes in the 5 times table. So it's 5 times 15. 5 is a prime number, so we cannot break it down, but 15 can be broken down into 5 times 3. So we can see that 75 is 5 squared times 3. So 5 squared times 3 minus root 3. 5 squared is 25. Square root of 25 is 5. So 5 comes outside. 3 remains inside. Now for us to add or subtract surds, remember that that is only possible if the number inside the surd is the same. So initially we can see that it was root 75 minus root 3. That's why we couldn't directly subtract them. We can't just make it, root 72. That's wrong. For you to subtract or add a surd, you need to make sure that the numbers inside the root are exactly the same. That is exactly why I prime factorized 75 into 5 squared times 3. Then I simplified it. Square root of 5 squared is 5, so 5 came outside. And now both the roots have the same number under them. So 5 root 3 minus root 3 is 4 root 3. That's your answer. You do not subtract the surds. Basically, you're subtracting the numbers that are outside. So that's why it's not, just 4. Because let's say we're thinking root 3 minus root 3 would be 0. That's not what we're doing. We're doing 5 root 3 minus 1 root 3. If there's nothing written with the root, it's assumed to be 1, just like we do with the variables. If it's just x, it's 1x. So 5 root 3 minus root 3 is 4 root 3. And that is your final answer for this. Then it says rationalize the denominator and simplify. So now when you're rationalizing the denominator, we multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the surd in the denominator. So if it's 8 over 1 minus root 5, we will multiply and divide it by 1 plus root 5 over 1 plus root 5. So that's going to be 8 times 1 plus root 5 over 1 minus root 5 times 1 plus root 5. So expand the bracket in the numerator. So that's going to be 8 plus 8 root 5. And the denominator, if you notice, it's reminding us of a square minus b square, where it's a plus b times a minus b. Remember, this rule will always be followed when you're rationalizing the denominator, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of the square root from the denominator, because when you rewrite this, it's 1 square minus root 5 squared, and square of a square root is the number itself. So it becomes 8 plus 8 root 5 over 1 minus 5. As you can see, there's no root now, which is what rationalizing the denominator is. We're trying to get rid of the root. So expand the bracket, 8 times 1, 8 times root 5. And the root 5 is treated as a variable. Just keep that in mind as well. Just like we do in variables, 8 times x would be 8x. Similarly, 8 times root 5 would be 8 root 5. So 8 plus 8 root 5. And the denominator, it's 1 square minus root 5 square, which is 1 minus 5, which is negative 4. So 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. And 8 divided by negative 4 again is negative 2. So root 5 comes as it is. So this is your rationalized denominator. So main thing over here you need to remember is that multiplying the fraction by the conjugate of the denominator. So if it's 1 minus root 5, you multiply and divide the fraction by 1 plus root 5. If it was 1 plus root 5, you would multiply and divide it by 1 minus root 5. Always the opposite sign. And after that, remember that in the denominator, it's difference of perfect squares. So you use that to get rid of the root sign in the denominator. And then it's just basic simplification. Question 26, expand and simplify. So we're expanding a triple bracket. So that's going to be 2x minus 3 times x plus 1 first. And then you multiply the result with 2 minus 3x. So what we do is 2x times x plus 1 and then minus 3 times x plus 1. And this entire thing is multiplied by 2 minus 3x later on. So that's 2x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 3 times 2 minus 3x. That's 2x squared minus x minus 3 times 2 minus 3x. So now we expand the bracket again. So 2x squared gets multiplied by 2 minus 3x. Negative x gets multiplied by 2 minus 3x. And negative 3 gets multiplied by 2 minus 3x. So that's 4x squared minus 6x cubed minus 2x plus 3x squared minus 6 plus 9x. Negative 6x cubed, 4x squared plus 3x squared is 7x squared. Negative 2x plus 9x is 7x, and then negative 6 comes as it is. So this is your expansion of the triple bracket. Remember, you multiply two brackets first and then multiply the result of that with the third bracket. And don't make this mistake of multiplying the first two brackets and then adding that to the third bracket. That's incorrect. One of my students has made that mistake very commonly. So please don't do that. Expand the first two brackets first, then multiply the result to the third bracket. Do it step by step. Make it easier for you. Don't make it difficult by multiplying it in one go, because that's not going to work out in your favor. So negative 6x cubed plus 7x squared plus 7x minus 6. Question 21 says diagram shows two right angle triangles ABC and AC. Find the value of cos ADC. So in this, we're going to use our trigonometric values. So first, let's focus on this triangle. Using this triangle, I need to figure out the value of CA because that is needed for the other triangle as well. So we have CB, we have the angle. So basically, we have the opposite and we have to find the hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine because according to SOHCAHTOA, sine uses opposite and hypotenuse. So sine of 30 equals to 6 over CA. Sine 30 has a value of 1 over 2. So 1 over 2 equals to 6 over CA. So CA is going to be 6 times 2, which is 12 centimeters. If you're someone who doesn't know the trigonometric values, I'm going to put a link above. Go to that short and that will give you all of the trigonometric values for sine, cos, tan with the different base angles, 30, 60, 45, and 90. Now that we know that this is 12, we have the length of CD, we have the length of CA. They want us to find angle D. Cos ADC means that we're talking about angle D over here. So if this is the angle, then this is going to be our adjacent because the adjacent is the length on which the angle lies. And our CA is going to be, let me use a different color for this. This is going to be our opposite for this triangle. And this is the hypotenuse for the other triangle. So we need the cos. And for cos, we need adjacent and hypotenuse. So first we need to figure out the hypotenuse. And for the hypotenuse, I'm going to use Pythagoras because there's no other way of figuring out the hypotenuse. So I'm going to do dA equals to square root of 9 square plus 12 square. 9 square is 81 plus 144, which is 225. And square root of 225 is 15. So this is 15. So to figure out cos of ADC, we will do adjacent, which is 9, over the hypotenuse, which is 15. Simplify it, so that's 3 over 5. You can also keep it as 9 over 15. That's also correct. So remember, for these type of questions, you need to know your trigonometric values. You need to memorize those. Then you need to identify what you need to use in the question. Are they asking for SOHCAHTOA? Are they asking for Pythagoras? What is the ideal option? And how you can use that to figure out the missing values. And this was a 5-mark question. So that's a good number of marks. Then question 22 says, in this question, all lengths are given in centimeters. Triangle ABC is mathematically similar to triangle ADE. Show that 2x squared plus 15x minus 50 is equal to 0. So when two shapes are mathematically similar, that means like the bigger shape is being enlarged by a scale factor. And if it's being enlarged by a scale factor, that means all of the lengths are being enlarged by the same scale factor. So for the scale factor, what we do is we divide the original length by the enlarged length. So if we compare these two, we know that 2x over 10 would be the same as x plus 5 over 7.5 plus 5 plus x. Once again, each length is being enlarged by the same scale factor. So whatever scale factor is used to make 2x 10, the same scale factor is used to make x plus 5 into 7.5 plus x plus 5. That's what you need to keep in mind. So what we will do over here is, we'll simplify this first. So that's x over 5 equals to x plus 5 over 12.5 plus x. Cross multiply to get to the fractions, x times 12.5 plus x times 5 times x plus 5. So that's 12.5x plus x squared equals to 5x plus 25. Collect the terms on one side. So x squared plus 12.5x minus 5x minus 25 equals to 0. So x squared plus 7.5x minus 25 is equal to 0. Now in the question, there are no decimals, which means we need to multiply this entire thing by 2. That'll be 2x squared plus 15x minus 50 equals to 0. That is the equation that I wanted us to show. Then they're asking us to solve by factorizing. So factorizing means that we have to multiply the quotient of x squared with a constant. So 2 times 50, that's 100. Then we find factors of 100, which when we add or subtract, give us the middle term. So factors of 100 apart from 2 and 50 are 20 times 5, 100 times 1, 10 times 10, and 25 times 4. We can clearly see that 20 minus 5 is going to give us 15. So replace 15x with plus 20x minus 5x minus 50 equals to 0. Then factor by grouping. The first two terms make one group and the last two terms make another group. So between the first two terms, we have 2x common. So x plus 10 in the bracket. And the last two terms have negative 5 common. So again, x plus 10 in the bracket. So x plus 10 common from 2x minus 5. So they go in the other bracket. So x equals to -10 and x equals to 5/2. These are the two values. Then it says find the length of AC. So going back to the diagram, AC is 7.5 plus x plus 5. So that's basically 12.5 plus x. Now we had -10 and 5/2. Obviously, we cannot use -10 because the length cannot be negative. So we'll replace x by 5/2, which is basically 2.5. So 12.5 plus 2.5 is 15. So 15 centimeter is your value of AC. Then says the area of the triangle ABC is k centimeter square. Find an expression for the area of the quadrilateral BCED. So when talking about similar shapes, your ratio of the areas is equal to the square of the scale factor. So ABC is, I think, yeah, the bigger triangle, and the smaller one is ADE. Okay. So the ratio of the area would be x over k. Now that's going to equal to the square of the scale factor. So scale factor was 2x over 10. X was 2.5 because we can't use -10. So that's 5 over 10, and that's 1 over 2. So x over k will equal to 1 over 2 squared, which is 1 over 4. X is the area of triangle ADE, by the way. Area of triangle ADE. Let me write that. So now x would be k over 4. That is the area of ADE. So for the quadrilateral, so BCED would be area of ABC minus area of ADE. The triangle ABC comprises of the quadrilateral and the triangle. So that's 3k over 4. That's the expression for the area of quadrilateral BCED in terms of k. So once again, for this, you need to remember that for the scale factor, you just divide the corresponding lengths from one shape and the other. That gives you the scale factor. But when you talk about the area, the ratio of the area for the corresponding shapes is equal to the scale factor being squared. So using that concept, we figure out an expression for the area of triangle ADE. Then we subtract that from the triangle ABC to find the area of the quadrilateral, which is 3k over 4 in terms of k. Then question 20, it says in the Venn diagram, shade the region P union Q intersection union R intersection. Then it says in the Venn diagram, shade the region P union Q complement union R complement. So remember that Q complement union R complement is also the same as Q intersection R whole complement. So Q intersection R is this part, and complement would be everything outside. So let's start with that. So everything outside would be this as well. And now that's with union P. So that means P is also included. So the only thing that's missing is this intersection between Q and R over here, but P excluded. Then it says rearrange the formula to make P the subject. So let's first cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So D times 2 minus PY equals to 2P plus 3. So that's 2D minus DPY equals to 2P plus 3. Collect the P's on one side because you want to make P the subject. So it's going to be 2D minus 3 equals to 2P plus DPY. Then I'm going to take P common over here. So P bracket 2 plus dy. So 2D minus 3 over 2 plus dy equals to P. If you notice in the previous step, we successfully made one P present. previously there were two p's. So when we took the p common, there was one p. And since there is one p, we can easily take the other bracket to the left-hand side to make p alone. So after doing that, we're left with 2d minus 3 over 2 plus dy. And p is the subject of the formula. In these type of questions, it's always advised to cross multiply first to get rid of the fraction. After expanding the brackets, then you collect the terms with the variable that they want to make the subject on one side, which in this case was p. So once we collected those terms on one side, we took p common. And after doing that, there was only one p in the entire equation. So which made things easier because then you can easily make it the subject as compared to having several p's. Question 25 says simplify 2xy whole power 0. So anything to the power of 0 is going to be 1. Then 81m8 over 3m square whole power 2 over 3. So 81 can be rewritten as 3 to the power of 4. So this is the first step. Then we can just, subtract the powers for 3 and m because when we have similar bases being divided, we subtract the powers. So it's going to be 3 to the power of 4 minus 1, m to the power of 8 minus 2, and whole power 2 or 3 remains outside right now. So that's 3 cube m to the power of 6 whole power 2 over 3. Now, remember that whenever you have a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, you multiply the powers. So which means 3 gets multiplied with 2 over 3 and 6 gets multiplied with 2 over 3. So 3 times 2 over 3 and 6 times 2 over 3. Base remains the same. Base remains the same throughout. So that's 3 to the power of 2, m to the power of 4. Because 6 divided by 3 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So that's 9m to the power of 4. That's your answer. Then it says find the value of x. So for this one, first we need to convert all of these into a base of 2. So 32 is the same as 2 to the power of 5. 4 is 2 squared. So we do 2 to the power of 5 whole power x times 2 to the power of x plus 3 equals to 1 over 2 squared. Now, since the bases are same, it's going to be easier for us to solve the powers. First, 5 and x becomes 5x. And over here, I'm going to bring this in the numerator. So it's going to be 2 to the power of negative 2. Whenever we move a power from the numerator to the denominator or vice versa, its sign changes. So this base 2 will remain the same. The sign of the power will change. So it's not going to be negative 2 to the power of negative 2 or negative 2 to the power of, positive 2. It's going to be 2 to the power of negative 2. So next step, similar bases are being multiplied. You add the powers. So 5x plus x plus 3, which is 2 to the power of 6x plus 3. So when you have the same bases on both sides, you put the powers equal to each other. 6x equals to negative 5. X equals to negative 5 over 6. That is your final answer.